The Glock 19. You've probably heard of it, right? I mean, it's only one of the most common concealed carry pistols anywhere. And people who carry this gun every day would probably consider any form of negativity about it to be absolute blasphemy. But is the Glock 19 really worth all the hype? Or is this just one of the lamest guns that you could possibly choose to be your everyday carry? Yeah, this could be a spicy one, so let's get into it. Let's quickly go over some technical specs about the Glock 19. Now, just keep in mind that I'm going to be talking specifically about the 5th gen MOS version. Barrel length on the Glock 19 comes out to 4.02 inches. Now be sure to keep that number in the back of your mind because it's going to be important for later in the video. Sight radius is also going to be an important number to keep in mind for later on in the video. And if you aren't familiar with the term sight radius, that is simply the distance from our rear sight to our front sight post. And on the Glock 19, that comes out to a total distance of 6.02 inches. Now the rest of the specs for this Glock 19 will be similar to most other Glock models. And since we have the 5th gen MOS version on the channel today, we don't have finger grooves on the grip. We have slide serrations on both the front and the rear. The muzzle is beveled to, in theory, make it easier to get into your holster. And we also have a cut for a red dot on the top of that slide. All right, let's get into some pros about the Glock 19. Now, just keep in mind that these pros don't necessarily make the Glock 19 superior to similar handguns on the market. These pros can also be highly subjective depending on your own personal likes or dislikes. Number 1, size. I think that compact handguns strike a nice balance in size between your micro compacts and your full-size pistols. Because when compared to a micro compact, you are picking up a little bit more magazine capacity, a longer sight radius, and a slightly longer barrel on a compact. But you're not going so big in size that you're starting to make it a little more difficult to conceal like you do with a full-size pistol. Number 2, reliability. There's really no disputing the fact that the Glock platform is just plain reliable. It's seen extensive usage by law enforcement here in the United States, and it's even used by some special forces units in the military. Now those guys are trusting their lives to these guns. I think that pretty much verifies that it is a reliable platform and it's always going to be there for you should you ever need it in a self-defense situation. Number 3, aftermarket support. For better or for worse, Glocks and Glock accessories are simply everywhere. You will always be able to find Glock handguns. You will always be able to find Glock magazines, sights, barrels, triggers, whatever other internal components you may need for your Glock handgun, it's gonna be there for you. So if you're looking for that perfect gun for the zombie apocalypse or whatever other end of world situation we may encounter, a Glock is probably for you. Because like I said, these things and their accessories are everywhere. And that is for better or for worse. You guys be the judge, but that's just the world we live in. Glock likes to call their products perfection. Yeah, that could not be farther from the truth, okay? These guns definitely are not perfection. So, let's talk about some cons about the Glock 19. Now just keep in mind that the cons we're about to get into are also highly subjective, and not everybody may necessarily consider them to be cons about the Glock 19. Number 1, the trigger. This is probably the most common complaint you'll hear when it comes to the Glock platform. And yeah, I do have to agree with the Glock haters on this one because these triggers are not the best. So let's go ahead and try it out here. A little mushy on that take up, we'll hit the wall. Not the cleanest break. Reset's okay. I don't have a problem with the reset on these triggers. But other than that, these triggers are pretty much so yeah, if the trigger is a big deal for you when you're shopping for a handgun, yeah, don't get a Glock. Look at a 1911 or something like that because those triggers, buttery smooth, super crisp. So yeah, I get it. These triggers are not the best. But for me personally, I don't really consider the trigger to be a negative point about the Glock platform, mainly because I've used Glocks for years and I've pretty much trained out any issues I may have had using these triggers. And I think that is the best solution to deal with whatever shortcomings you may encounter with any handgun. just train with it all the more and learn how to deal with those little quirks that you may run into with whatever handgun it is that you own. Number 2, the sights. You'll run into a lot of people who don't like stock Glock sights. And the reason for this is because these sights are not made of steel. They're actually made of polymer. This means that they're going to be more prone to breaking off of your handgun should you ever accidentally drop the gun, or if for whatever reason one of your hands is disabled and you're trying to rack your slide up against an object using that rear sight. And I do have to agree with the Glock haters on this one. I mean, like, we're already spending a good chunk of change on these handguns. You would think that Glock could at least give us a set of steel sights. If you go out and buy a stock Smith & Wesson M&P, it's gonna come with steel sights. So, Glock, guys, get your act together. Make steel sights standard on all of your Glock handguns, and don't raise the price any because of it. Keep the price point the same, but just do the right thing and put steel sights on these guns. Number 3, the frame. You're gonna hear a lot of people complain about the plastic frame on Glock handguns. Tupperware guns is the term I think that they use. Now you gotta understand, this just isn't regular old plastic or Tupperware like what you put your leftovers in, right? This is actually a nylon-based polymer, which is much, much stronger and much more durable than regular old plastic. And it's perfectly suited to be used in the frame on these handguns. And the main reason why a lot of people don't like these frames seems to be because of frame flex. Now, because this is polymer and not steel, the frame is going to have some flex in it as the handgun cycles back and forth. And people seem to be worried that after the frame flexing back and forth for a while, it's just gonna break in half. Now this simply is not the case because these polymer frames are designed to do that. They're designed to have some flex in them because if they didn't, then they would break in half because the polymer would be too brittle. So they're designed to have a little bit of give in them to help absorb some of that energy. But I get it, if you prefer the feel of a steel frame in your hand, then a Glock definitely is not for you. And you're gonna wanna look at other options like say 1911 or a revolver, something along those lines. Definitely not a Glock. So why did I buy this Glock 19? Well, the short answer is this gun is my new everyday carry gun. Now, some of you might be wondering, wait a minute, I thought you were carrying the SIG P365X. Well, I was, but I ended up selling that gun to somebody who really needed a good concealed carry handgun, and I was kind of wanting to move up in size to a compact handgun anyway, and this was just the perfect opportunity to do that. By moving up in size to a compact handgun, I was able to get a longer sight radius. If you guys remember from earlier, the sight radius on the Glock 19 is 6.02 inches. And when you compare that to the sight radius on the 365X, that's only 4.9 inches. So by moving up to a compact handgun from a micro compact, I'm picking up quite a bit of distance on that sight radius. The longer sight radius on a compact handgun is going to be more forgiving than the shorter sight radius on a micro compact. Because with the shorter sight radius on a micro compact, any slight variation you may have in your sight alignment is going to be amplified. But with a longer sight radius, like on the Glock 19, it's going to be more forgiving, and that's just going to help you out all the more should you ever need to use your gun in a self-defense situation. By moving up in size, I was also able to get a slightly longer barrel length. If you guys recall from earlier, the barrel length on the Glock 19 is 4.02 inches, whereas on the SIG P365X, it's only 3.1 inches. So that means rounds coming out of the Glock 19 will have a slightly higher FPS, along with slightly improved accuracy. Now, it's not gonna be night and day when compared to the SIG, but it will give you a slight boost in performance compared to a micro compact. I also went with the Glock 19 because it's a tried and true platform. The Glock 19 is basically synonymous with concealed carry, and like we were talking about earlier, the Glock platform has seen extensive usage with law enforcement and militaries, so it's definitely proved its reliability. And I'm also very familiar with the platform from having used my Glock 17 for a number of years now. On the 19, we do of course have a little bit shorter barrel, shorter grip when compared to the 17, But other than that, it feels very similar and it feels very much at home in my hand. Now to answer the question that we've been waiting for this whole video. Is the Glock 19 the best handgun for concealed carry? Or is it the lamest? Well, it certainly isn't the best handgun for concealed carry, just because there's so many great manufacturers out there with great products for your concealed carry handgun. You just can't say that this one handgun or that one handgun over there is the best, because there's so many great options available on the market. So yeah, Glock 19 may be a good gun, but it definitely isn't the best. So then, is the Glock 19 the lamest handgun for concealed carry? Yeah, it is. Guys, this is a lame gun, all right? It is not exciting, it's not cool, it's not unique, it's just plain boring. Why? Because so many other people are carrying these guns. It's just like, all right, whatever, you got a Glock 19, big deal. So yeah, this is a lame gun, but that's not a bad thing. Because at the end of the day, this Glock 19 has one job and one job only for me. And that is stopping whatever bad guys may need stopping. And this handgun is extremely reliable and extremely good at doing that one task. I would liken buying a Glock 19 to buying a hammer, because when you go to the hardware store to buy a hammer, are you looking for something cool? No. Are you looking for something unique? No, because all the other carpenters have hammers also. What you're looking for is a tool that does one job extremely well. In the case of a hammer, it's driving a nail into a 2x4 like nobody's business. With a Glock 19, it's stopping bad guys like nobody's business. When I'm looking for a concealed carry handgun, I'm not looking for the coolest gun ever. I'm not looking for the best looking gun ever. I'm just looking for a simple handgun that is reliable and extremely good at doing that one job, stopping whatever bad guys may need stopping, and the Glock 19, for me, fits that bill. All right, so what do you guys think about my lame Glock 19, my boring Glock 19, my not cool Glock 19? Leave me a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Now, this is absolutely going to tick the government off. But that's kind of the whole point of the Second Amendment, and that's why we love it so much.